So in this final demo, we're going to look again at this concept of select n plus 1 and see an example of how you might make this mistake and two ways that you can avoid making it. So suppose we have a simple for each statement like this. We're looping through all the live albums and we're printing out the album title and the artist name. Now this works absolutely fine, but when we look at our SQL statements, we can see that we've got a select n plus 1 problem. And that's because the original query, filtering the albums down to just the live albums, gets executed before we know that we're going to want to get the artist name as well. So how can we fix this? Well, one really nice way is by using anonymous objects. We only actually need to get two columns from the database. So if we construct an anonymous object like this, containing the album title and the artist name, and when we run this and look at the generated SQL, we can see that now we're only asking for those two columns, and we're only executing a single SQL query that is performing a join for us. An Entity Framework does actually offer another way that you can solve this, and that's by using the include method. So we can tell Entity Framework that we want to include the columns from the artist table in this query, and so that in the inner loop we can get at the artist name without needing to execute another SQL query. And this works well, although it's not quite as efficient as the anonymous object solution, since it's going to be pulling down all the columns from both the album and artist tables when we actually only needed one from each. And when we run it, here you can see it's performing an inner join, so it can return all the data we need in just a single query. Now, that was just a very quick run through of some of the most common performance issues that you might encounter with linked Entity Framework. And there's actually a whole Pluralsight course dedicated to Entity Framework anti-patterns that you might want to check out if you want to dive into this topic in more detail. But I hope I've shown you just enough to help you avoid returning more rows and columns than you need to, and to help you avoid running more SQL queries than you need to. Let's wrap up now what we've learned in this module.